so lucky to be reading with you two. And um, I love AQR, so I'm happy to be part of this celebration to help support such a fundamental publication and journal for our nation and our world. So if you're watching, there's a donation button. This is the work of the art. I love that idea from that Jasper Johns quote, because there is this part of this thing that we're called to do that is very much about community and communion and supporting each other. So those of you who've taken time out of your Sunday afternoon or evening to share time with us, thank you. And Dorianne and Joe and Heather and Ron, thanks for making this possible and bringing me in. I'm going to start with a poem that was published in AQR. It's in my collection, Trophic Cascade. Glacial erratics. There are people who, when they go, shift the meaning of words we use each day. Down goes Frasier, we used to joke, when sleep knocked our daughter out. Now, Frasier's dead, and Megan's mom is dying of the same cancer. On the phone last night, Megan was a baby. So many new words she needed to say, but no better way to speak than by crying. A rack of grief, we used to say, meaning shipwreck, souls sunk, lost fortune, meaning ruin. Though rack can also mean seaweed, vegetation, can mean what grows up from what has fallen. A whale fall can support life for over 7 decades. The grotesque and beautiful blooming off a mortal behemoth. Bone-rooted worms waving like marsh grasses. Hagfish all sawmouth and mucus. Brittle stars. When she got her words again, Megan said the worst of it was that her mother was still driving her crazy. I want to kill her, said Megan. Does she always have to be so controlling? The morning she chose to join us, my daughter pushed against me. My whole body, becoming a mother, squeezed, trying to help push her along. And what could she do but push against me again? Down goes Frasier, we joked, because she fought so hard to be alive, she hated ever to leave us. Once, my whole body, becoming a mourner, had to push my girl out to let her go. Like this, we'll be pushing each other until one of us is finally done. I am also going to read some new poems today. This poem's called This'll Hurt Me More. Don't make me send you outside to find a switch, my grandmother used to say. It was years before I had the nerve to ask her why switch was the word her anger reached for when she needed me to act a different way. Still, when I see some branches, wispy ones like willows, like lilacs, like the tan yellow forsythia before the brighter yellow buds, I think these would make perfect switches for a whipping. America, there is not a place I can wander inside you and not feel a little afraid. Did I ever tell you about that time I was 7, buckled into the back seat of the Volvo before buckles were a thing America required? My parents tried, despite everything, to keep us safe. It's funny. I remember the brown hills sloping toward the valley. A soft brown welcome. I looked for other places, but found only there and in my grandmother's skin. Yes, I have just compared my grandmother's body to my childhood hills. America, I loved them both, and they taught me each things I needed to learn. You have witnessed, America, how pleasant hillsides can quickly catch fire. My grandmother could be like that, but she protected me too. There were strawberry fields, wind guarded in that valley, tart against the cold. America, you are good at taking care of what you value. Those silver gray tarps made the fields look like a pond you could skate on. As the policeman questioned my dad, I concentrated on the view outside the back window. America, have you ever noticed how well you stretch the imagination? This was Southern California. I'd lived there all my life and never even seen a frozen pond. But there I was in 70-degree weather, imagining my skates carving figure eights on a strawberry field. Of course, my father fit the description. The imagination can accommodate whoever might happen along. America, if you've seen a hillside quickly catch fire, you have also seen a river freeze over, the surface looking placid, though you know the water deep down, dark as my father, is pushing and pushing, still trying to get ahead. We are driving home, my father said. My wife and my daughters, we were just on our way home. I know you want to know what happened next, America. Did my dad make it home safely or not? Outside this window, lilac blooms show up like a rash decision the bush makes each spring. I haven't lived in Southern California for decades. A pond here killed a child we all knew. For years after that accident, as spring bloomed and ice thinned, my daughter remembered the child from her preschool. And now, it's not so much that she's forgotten, it's more that it seems she's never known that child as anything other than drowned. My grandmother didn't have an answer. A switch is what her mother called it, and her grandmother before her. She'd been gone from that part of America for over half a century, but still that southern soil sprang up along the contours of her tongue. America, I'll tell you this much, I cannot understand this mind where it reaches. Even when she was threatening to beat me, I liked to imagine the swishing sound a branch would make as it whipped toward my body through the resisting air. She'd say, "This is hurting me more than it's hurting you." I didn't understand her then, but now I think I do. America, go find me a switch. So I've been working on this series of poems that are all in exactly 700 characters because 700 is apparently the number of hours that a new mother loses in sleep in the first few years of her child's life. And so I began these poems that are 700 characters exactly to explore the different kinds of ways that mothers lose sleep. This is one of these poems. The average mother loses 700 hours of sleep in the first year of her child's life, or what that first year taught me about America. Most of us favor one side when we walk. As we tire, we lean into that side and stop moving in a straight line. So it takes longer to get anywhere, let alone home. In wilderness conditions, where people don't know the terrain, a tired person might end up leaning so far into one side, they'll walk in a circle rather than straight ahead. It can kill you, such leaning, and it can get you killed. Rest helps. I told my husband I walked in a circle in my mind, but you came out okay. Initially, he asked me to clarify, but then he let it go. Who wrote that first, "If you lived here, you'd be home by now" sign? It seems I'm going to have to move. I am tired and also sick of helping other people in lieu of helping myself. Rest now. It's really not that bad. We're in the home stretch. That's the mind of a parent. Relentless optimism in the face of sheer panic and exhaustion. And then I have just two more poems. I think I had two more. This one is another one. Expectant, or American women are more likely to die in childbirth than women in any other developed country, and Black women make up 50% of those mortalities. When I reached St. Peter, he was too small to crawl. I introduced myself as someone's mother, and he consulted his big book of rolls. "Stand there," said Peter, pointing to the line with all the other hopeless mothers. "But," I said, "I've been there all along." The woman in front of me had been reading Lamentations for hundreds of years. I needed to hear my baby breathing, but couldn't over all her tears. "Give me the ribbon," said Peter, who sucked on the silk. "Give me your hand," said Peter. He suckled my thumb. My hair still grew fast as a pregnant woman's. My fingernails, short when I arrived that evening, needed cutting soon. "Give me your papers," said Peter. Then he gummed them. "I don't trust my eyes," he said, "but I believe in this mouth." "Give me your heart," said Peter. I hadn't slept that long in ages. 5 hours, 6 hours, 7. "Stop this," I said. "Stop now." And I'll end with a little bit of light. A clearing. All night, the wind blows, and my mind is like the crab apple that loses limbs. They litter the ground, crush the black-eyed Susan, scatter buds over rows of new lettuce, bean sprouts, themselves a cluster of worry in raised beds. Leaves and limbs threaten the foundation. Water backs up and gutters, seeps into the house's walls. But my mind is not in the house. In the yard's far corner, the eye of my mind rests on the crab apple, shaken, snapping, hectic, then still. The day dawns without anger. The blue jay I've looked for pushes sky off his crest. How splendid his wings and tail. It's not so much that before this he'd hidden himself. It's just he chose a safe place I could not see until the storm thinned the tree. Thank you.